block back from the machine shop. They honed the bores, and one of them, that one, has a groove in it still, but it's not all the way to the top, so we're fine. Got the new Ls3 lifters in it. I've got my Summit Racing Stage 2 Turbo Cam, even though they don't sell a Stage 1 or a Stage 3. But this is a Stage 2 Summit Turbo Cam. There's your part number. For what I've read about, this number is real important. Exhaust valve opening time, because like the Ls9, Ls6 cams are like 60 degrees, and this is 52, so it helps spool the turbos better. 600 lift on the intake, 575 on the exhaust, 275, 283 advertised, and 226, 230 duration at 50 thousandths. Lobe separation is 113. So that's the cam I picked, because it's really close to the Brian Tooley Stage 2 Turbo Cam. So I bought it. It was like $100 cheaper. Bought a new GM cam sprocket and ARP bolts because this was a VVT motor, variable valve timing motor. They had to put new cam rings in it, honed it, and they ended up being able to polish the crank so it's still standard rods and mains. So that's awesome. It's real clean now. I got it sprayed down with transmission fluid to keep it from rusting. So now I have finished porting the Ls3 heads. I wasn't going to port them, and now I looked at them and they have all kinds of humps in them that you wouldn't think would be there on a head that flows that great anyway. And also I watched an interview with Brian Tooley, and he was talking about this normally has like a big squiggly line, a really sharp edge, and so from the interview I saw with him, he said to straighten this line out and round this edge over some. So I did that to make it flow better and to be less likely to detonate. You can see I kind of knife edged the intake guide there, cut down the exhaust guide a bunch there. I worked on the short turn radius under here on the intake some. Took a little bit out of the top of this at the top of the port. And I never really finish them out super nice like you see the professional porters do, because I feel like on a street car motor like this, it's going to get caked with the black soot, eventually, so I don't really know that matters. I raised the exhaust runner up quite a bit, left the bottom the same. Because you really don't add any flow by lowering this. It doesn't really help anything. So these heads flow killer from the factory, so hopefully I improved that. I don't know. I only did stuff like, you always want to, the higher the runner gets, the more it flows, basically. So I don't try to cut any out of the bottom of the port on the intake or exhaust. I just try to, widen it out just barely, and mainly raise it though. That's what I do. And then cut down the guides some to make them flow around them better. And I always make sure there's not like a rough edge where it meets the seat. And I always cut some off the short turn radius. And then you don't want any sharp spots in your combustion chamber to make it, detonate. But about to assemble this head with the Pack 1219 springs. I'm waiting on my standard main bearings because my other main bearings were beat up. Once I get them, I can put all the pistons and rods in. Oh, I re-gapped the piston rings. My last motor, the 4.8 Gen 4 4.8 that's in the wagon. Wagon's over there. Yeah. It had like 8 thousandths on some of the ring gaps on that motor, that 4.8. And I don't remember now. You can watch my video. I gapped it to 20 something thousandths. So I've lost my feeler gauge. So I found an old piece of sheet metal and checked it with my caliper, and it was like 27 thousandths or 28 or something. So that's what I gapped all these with, because I looked online at Wiseco's website. They recommended like 27 or something on this on a 4-inch bore. So I just gapped the top and second rings the same, even though you're supposed to gap the second one a little wider. And so I gapped them at like 20, 28. And what's so weird on this motor, some of them were already at 28 thousandths. Some of them I had to file quite a bit off of. I didn't measure them to see what it was, but you know, some of them were like probably 15 or something, and I took them out to 28. But so the motor in the wagon over there, it was like 8 thousandths, and this one was like, some of them were 28. So this motor, you know, probably would have been all right without gapping it, because it was pretty wide ring gap anyway. But that just keeps the ring gaps from butting under high boost and ripping the top of the piston off. But here's the intake sitting on that motor. But got one of the fenders. See where he has a cutout for the front bumper? Well, I'm not. Oh, sorry, here, front bumper cutout. I'm not gonna run a front bumper on this car, so I made a patch panel here and just made that like a kind of like a roll panel on the truck. You can see where I put it in there, and welded up the marker light so it doesn't have this marker light anymore. Then I welded the patch panel in down there, and a buddy at work, RJ, helped me do a lot of the body work to it, and then I primed it black. I've got the hood. I welded up the hole in the hood for the washer squirter and did all the body work and fixed some rust on it, and it's primed. So this car is probably going to end up being black, but there's a crank. I've got it soaked in transmission fluid too. But all the pistons are ready. They're gapped and ready. So anyway, there's an update. Once the main bearings get here, I'll put the motor together, and I got a bunch of work still to do back here in the suspension. You can see I cut more out, and I'm change where that's mounted. So I'm working on that, but getting there slowly. I built a huge deck, so that's what I've been working on. I hadn't got. There's a Crown Vic with the big wheels on it now. The Mercedes 22s, 22 by 10s, all the way around, and they fit perfect. They fit the front, they fit the back. 22 by 10s, it's crazy what that will fit. Mercedes has the same lug pattern, so I like how it looks. Anyway, there you go.